When you start out learning about wine, you are most definitely going to come across someone saying, "Hey, there's a bit of Brett in this wine." You could not start a conversation with a wine person who does not have an opinion about Brett. So, what is it? Brett is a fungus. More specifically, it belongs to kingdom fungi. You know, the kingdom of unicellular or multicellular organisms with membrane-bound nuclei and organelles. Well, Brettanomyces, as it is scientifically known, is a unicellular microscopic fungus and is, to simply put it, a yeast. Now, you may be wondering why a yeast would be a controversial topic in winemaking. Well, this is a non-Saccharomyces yeast which has, to put it lightly, been both a friend and a foe to the food and beverage industry. Unlike its cousin, the Saccharomyces genus, which has been put to use for making us delicious wine, beer, and bread, this particular non-Saccharomyces yeast has mostly been vilified, identified to cause spoilage in wine, beverage, and dairy industry. The species Brettanomyces bruxellensis being most often caught as the culprit. But before we cast it aside as evil spawn, this yeast has also been a hero in some cases. It is central to some spontaneously fermented beers like Belgian lambic beers, certain British ales, and some types of kombucha. In fact, its name Brettano comes from British beer maker and was in fact identified first in a British beer way back in 1904. Now, the scientific literature may also refer to Brettanomyces as Decara. While the two do not seem to be genetically different, Decara has been observed to form sexual spores, but Brettanomyces hasn't, leading scientists to believe that they were different for many years. But as of 2013, as per the Melbourne Code of Nomenclature for Algae, Fungi, and Plants, they were reclassified as the same. But what is all the fuss about? What does it actually do to a wine? A wine rife with Brettanomyces develops what is colloquially called the Brett character, which different people often describe using a range of interesting words like barnyard, horsey, wet dog, old school band-aids, pharmaceutical, sweaty socks, goat-like, or even. Now, these smells are attributed to a range of chemical compounds that are a result of the daily metabolic activities of the yeast. Ethylphenols are the compounds mostly responsible. 4-ethylphenol, often lending a chemical or pharmaceutical smell, 4-ethylglycol, that of a spicy or clove-like smell, and 4-ethylcatechol, giving a more sweaty, barnyard kind of smell. Now, with the exception of that last one, the other two don't sound too bad, and in fact, that's what they are appreciated for in those funky lambic beers. But it is the ratio of these compounds, along with the host of other different aroma compounds in different wines, that could lead to undesirable smells. So, about how much is needed for someone to detect these compounds? While it varies by the wine, research indicates in the range of 300 to 600 micrograms per liter, so not much. In fact, one study has shown that with just as little as 0.3 grams per liter of residual sugar in a wine, Brett can produce up to 1000 micrograms per liter of 4-ethylphenol. In addition to this, Brett also produces a volatile fatty acid, isovaleric acid, that smells rancid and cheesy, as well as acetic acid, giving it notes of vinegar, and ethyl acetate, notes of nail polish remover, standard run-of-the-mill wine smells. And in some cases, even a rare nitrogen-containing heterocyclic compound, which are rather complicatedly named 2-acetyl tetrahydropyridine ATHP or 2-ethyl tetrahydropyridine ETHP, which causes the unpleasant sensation of smelling a furry little rodent in your mouth after you sip the wine. Appropriately, it's deemed mousiness. While none of these compounds are bad for you, one could understand why it may not be the most pleasant sensation in a wine. Still, the wine world stands divided. Some like a bit of Brett, some absolutely detest it. While the wine folk continue to bicker, though, this little yeast has caught the attention of the bioethanol industry due to its ability to form high levels of ethanol with limited resources. So it may be getting more supporters soon after all, apart from the lovers of kombuchas, lambics, and well, mildly funky wines. Thanks for watching this video and catch part 2 on how to deal with Brett.